is why is it that the spiritual life or the topic on spiritual life, interior life, not that like famous, or why is the education not that spread among people?
Thank you for your question. Well, the answer could be that as a first step, usually Christians are invited to um, have their catechesis, which is the first step of the education. And by catechesis, I mean what is offered, for instance, in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. So one has it when is young, and then as adults also we need to continue our formation. And since often this part of the preparation is not done um, enough or in a complete way, what happens is that people don't feel the hunger for spiritual life. Now, more specifically, why spiritual life is not known, I think it is known. We all hear about saints, we read the stories of saints, we want to be saints. Everybody talks about the call for holiness. But it is true that when it comes to taking the steps for holiness, you're right, there is a bit of an emptiness here. We are a little bit out of our depth. Um, this is the state of the church. We have a lot of fervor on one side, people who want to give their life, people who want to pursue holiness on one side, and on the other side, what you find is that real guides for real growth are not often, I would say, well prepared. We have guides. I'm not saying we don't have, but I'm saying quantity wise, and it depends also on the countries. We have countries where this aspect is more present and richer, and you have countries where this aspect is less apparent and people are relying more on the parish, to the point that if a young man wants to consecrate himself to God, the first thing he thinks of is just to become a parish priest, because he doesn't have more of an example in front of him. But it's not totally true, because you have religious people. So it boils down to the fact that very few people are dedicated to the study and deep knowledge of the spiritual traditions. We remain on a very light menu, if you want. If you take the example, the image of a meal, the menu that is offered is very light. It's not substantial. You would be surprised to see that the last big synthesis of spiritual life, they are very old now. They are more than 60 years. The last ones, I mean the proper ones. We have summaries, we have dictionaries that come out from time to time, but I'm talking about something that is substantial, a real manual for spiritual life. The real ones, we're constantly going back to old ones in the 30s, 40s, and 50s of last century. So it shows that very few people are dedicating time or had the call to dedicate their life to the formation in spiritual life. I hope this sheds some light. I don't know.
Yes, I really also believe that it also depends on the country, because there are countries that are more inclined, or more, there are a lot of more guides, as you said, that are available. Unfortunately, here in our place, specifically in Cebu, where I am, there are not a lot of guides, as you will say, in terms of really the steps, the stages, what you can do, how a person can get into the interior life. Yes, you said, you're right, that the knowledge is there, but the how to's, how one gets in journeys, is a bit lacking in that sense.
Yes. Um, yes. It depends on the places in a way, but still, if you really have a good survey of the state of the church in all the countries, as far as I can perceive, with some exceptions or regions or very small regions within a country, it is very difficult for the average faithful who has that hunger for growth to find a real person who is prepared and ready and formed to fulfill that mission. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, John, I think, uh, as I said, I'd like to clarify myself that there are a lot of information about the spiritual life, but again, the proper guide who will just, I mean, talking about the stages talked about by the masters of the spiritual life, I mean, a person properly who is able to talk about, I mean, the advanced stages, if you will, because there, I feel like in the with the people that I'm talking to in our group, there's this hunger for more. I think that's what I want to say. There's hunger for more, not just about, well, after they finish reading about Mary, about the deeper readings on the faith, what now? So I guess that's the problem that we are facing here in our locality, that we, yes, maybe there are a lot of there's maybe some guides who are there, but we're trying to hunt them down because they are not, apparently they're not famous, or they don't reveal themselves. So that's why, uh, even now I'm talking to somebody who is outside of the Philippines, not really within the locality. So I think that's what I feel like we need here in our place.
Yes. It is important also to know something that and very few people are aware of it. The church itself needs to be seen as having two branches, like a
Mm-hmm.
tree has two branches. One branch is the one we all know, is where we are all born, is the parish. And the leader in the parish in general is the parish priest, of course, with all the people who help him to fulfill his mission. But the other branch is the prophetic branch. And this branch is for what we're talking about, which is going deeper in spiritual life. So you have the monks, religious people, some secular institutes, and also the new movements in the church, majority of new movement in the church. All these, plus all the persons who are in their heart feel the call to go deeper, as you said, are part, knowing it or not knowing it, they are already part of that prophetic branch. Now, what happens is that people think that the parish priest is normally supposed to give everything, and here lies the error, or the difficulty, or I don't know. It's a management point here. People think that the parish priest is supposed to offer everything, to offer what is proper to a parish, and they have a lot to do, bless them. But they can't also offer a deep formation in spiritual life. They are not trained for it. They don't have the tools. They don't have the experience. The people who are supposed to offer it are the monks, some religious who are specialized in the field, like the Carmelites, the Jesuits, some institutes who are specialized in the field. So this has to be clarified. We can't ask a parish priest to do something that he's not prepared, and it's not part of his task. People could be shocked by what I'm saying. It's like, how come the parish priest normally is trained? Yes, he's trained to be a parish priest, but he's not trained to go deeper in spiritual life. Some parish priests could be very deep already in their journey, could have a great curiosity and want to know more, so they might be able to offer something more. But in general, no, they just remain on the large first level or first stage in our Christian life. In St. Teresa of Avila, it would correspond to the from the first to the third mansion in her interior castle, which means before the triggering of the supernatural action of God, of the Holy Spirit. It can surprise many, but that's a reality in the church. When you see the journey of the call of, for instance, the father of all monks, Saint Anthony, when he feels the call to pursue union with God, to search for God, the monastic quest, or he leaves the parish and goes to the desert. He feels that call, he hears that call. So I think people have to understand that it's today the parish and the monastery are in the city. Today, parish and monastery almost overlap, so people are a bit confused. They don't know what is what. Pope John Paul II, when he was young with his father, used to go from on a regular basis for confession to the Carmelites. They had to travel, to go a long way in order to go to the monastery of the Carmelites where he was. You see, if you want something deeper, you have to go to people who are supposed to give you what is deeper. I just wanted to clarify that point.
Yes. Thank you, John.
Most welcome. I hope this can help, but of course, we have other questions and answers, and hopefully it will start to help people. You can go on the website. I will leave a link underneath the video where you can find already some articles that sort of start to explain a little bit the differences between the two branches of the church, the different stages of spiritual life, just to give a general idea. Thank you very much, Stephen, and see you soon. God bless you.
Thank you, John.